Hello everyone and welcome back to the second annual Heart of the Chains. It's going to be presented by Van Man Discs and driven by Innova Champion Discs. We're going to be out here on the back 9 at Indian Rock Disc Golf Course in the beautiful Rotary Park for still kind of a little wet, little kind of bleary, dreary day. Got some fog still setting in a little bit, nothing too bad. Conditions are definitely improving as the day goes on.
However, we are climbing the hill, and as you climb the hill, you definitely experience more of that wind.
Oh yeah, so you're definitely going to hear a lot of it. I did do everything I could to kind of keep some of the sounds of the course while at the same time not having the speakers blow from the wind noise.
Alright, you see how our field is standing going into the back 9 here. Johnny Sias shooting that hot round, staying 3 under solo first.
Not too far behind him though. We've got a two-way tie with Ryan and Thaddeus there, just a stroke behind. Ian looming at -1, and Sam Cruz moving into that 4th place position.
And anything can happen.
Oh yeah.
We come into the flyover for hole 10. This is actually the first time you've thrown up at a hole since hole 3, since we got into the woods. And this little drop off here to the left, that's
really
actually
deceiving.
It's about an 8-foot drop from the roadway down.
The whole shape
hole.
of this, the entire shape of this hole is very deceiving. It's not as far as you think, but it's further than you think. The angle is straight, but it has some curve to it. It's really weird. You've got to be out there and play this hole a lot to really know how to attack it. Because realistically, you need to throw dead straight at the hole. The basket is dead straight ahead down this tunnel. But with that drop-off, you have to have something moving back to the right. Otherwise, you're going to sail left down the hill.
That, and you really can only clear the edge of that hill in front of you by about 6 inches if you're going for the ace play.
Yeah. Otherwise, it'll just sail on. Now, Ian is going to be kicked down to... He's at least over that bank, but he's going to be down to the left. Johnny leaving his fairly nose up. I think that's his eagle again.
The course designer knows how to play this hole.
Yep. Yeah, he is going to put himself down by that little footbridge, so he's going to give himself a putt. Thaddeus looking like he's going with that Z Luna. One of those old Tour Series Lunas from a couple years ago. That Z Swirl. You start to hear the wind noise kicking up, and it tossed that disc over to the right. He did not wrench over on it as much as that disc looked like it did. It just, the wind kind of carried it over. It's where Ian's setting probably at about 60 feet.
And the safe play is to end up to the left of that bank. At least get over the bank. If you're right and above the bank, you're actually putting pretty significantly downhill with this one, and you have the, especially with the wind, the ability to sail right over the basket.
And we had a valiant effort from Johnny there trying to pick up the birdie. And even though that looked like it went super right out of Thaddeus' hand, he was still lined up right with the basket. As long as you get through the main group of trees here and get yourself close to the edge of that bank, this hole is actually really forgiving.
But the basket sure is not.
It is not. And they are continuing to kind of beat up on our players today.
You can see how far you have to come back with that putt if you're putting downhill and sail past.
And that's another time that Thaddeus has been going for a longer putt, and it's ended up costing him multiple strokes. Just the good old classic birdogey. Ian saving his par there. Thaddeus cleaning up the bogey. Should see a couple more par cleanups here and we'll kind of move on to the next hole. This one really wasn't incredibly difficult on the field. It did come in at about a half stroke over par, so it was one of the handful that did play over par. No birdies, just the couple bogeys.
All right, so hole 11. This hole has a very, very tricky finish to it. You can actually get a good distance down the fairway before it gets too difficult, but the finish is what gets you on this one. You actually have to kind of turn back to the right up into this one, but there's so many of those little guardian trees all the way down this fairway.
This is probably, to par, one of the most difficult holes on the course. It is just maybe not difficult. This is the hardest to birdie on the course. I will say that. It's kind of simple. You can break it up for par really easily. But if you try to get greedy on this hole and you're not absolutely perfect with your execution, it's gonna bite you.
It will. And those little trees, I mean, the deflections that you can get off of those trees are absolutely insane. Just like that one.
Yep.
You know, he still carried forward a little bit, but that hillside that he's landing on, he's going to have horrible footing when he goes to throw that
Not to
shot.
mention, unless he moved all the way up against the base of that hill, there's not a line to the basket. And that's how the course designer drew it up.
And he's still actually in a little bit of trees off to the left.
But he does have a putt. I think that was his eagle again. Thaddeus here's that mid-range fairway. The optimal play here is a flip up to late turning fairway or mid-range, something like that.
Leave yourself about a 30 to 40 foot putt there off to the left side.
It's gonna.
If
Great
it wasn't
first
for the
kick.
second kick to drop him down, that one looked like it was carrying towards the basket.
It really was, but at the very least, he's still in the fairway. And he has this really good forehand look at it. Looks like he's going to take zone, I believe. Kind of high, stally shot, let it drop, and he's going to have a good putt. Yeah, not only did he get to the base of the hill, he's on the hill. But the good thing about being that far over is there is no trees growing on the side of that rock. So you can kind of just cruise right along that little cliff face and filter back down to the basket.
And you can see from the camera angles here, there's really not a look at this basket that is clean. Yeah. You have to shape something to get to this basket on your upshot.
Yeah. So, like I was mentioning, the optimal play here is throwing it almost dead at that center tree about halfway up the fairway, and then getting something with a super late flip and turn to it. Which is why some slower fairways to mid-ranges are going to be your friend here. Forehand might seem like the play, but the angle is typically just a little off. You got to release it at a really weird point. So a lot of times you'll early release it right into a couple trees.
And you really don't have the airspace to the left to get something flexed out to go back towards the basket on a forehand. If you have a super flat, straight forehand that with a slight finish at the end, this hole's all
It'll
yours.
work. Oh yeah, it'll work. So, unfortunate with the, couple bogeys there, but we'll move on over to hole 12. About 240 feet-ish. It's going to come in just over par, which is kind of surprising because this hole plays right in front of you. As long as you can get through that first main gap about halfway up the fairway, you're going to filter right to the basket and give yourself a putt.
The only thing I can say that would cause this to be over par is just having some nasty rollaways or some nasty kicks throughout the
which is
round.
Definitely possible.
This is definitely a for the lefty. I mean, that's a great line, and it's pretty clear up there for that. But
I don't know if he meant to do it or not. I actually don't. I didn't get a
he
chance
gripped
to.
it a little too much there.
I think he pulled it just a little, but he really got away with it.
Yeah, this is definitely that straight to slightly understable putter, and just release it straight down the middle.
Yeah. I know my play here has always been like with a flippy mid-range, putting it on a good amount of hyzer right at that tree.
Yeah, if
that
you
Johnny
can
just
skirt
hit,
the right side of that tree and then fade back to the basket, it's a
Yeah.
perfect shot.
Oh, yeah. But nice neutral, slightly understable mid-range has always been kind of my go-to on this hole.
That'd be a Texas Ranger for me on this hole.
Yeah, I think I'm either throwing my Mako or my MD3. One of the two. It's like Thaddeus, I think, with that Luna again. He really loves throwing that disc. And that is straight at the basket. Going a little long, and so we actually had a little bit of a discussion while we were walking down this fairway about if you could get clean on a full power drive, if you could actually shoot all the way over Route 60. So one of the main drags going up to the course actually goes right past that hillside, and all the way down at the bottom is like one of the main roads. And the talk has always been, if you could get clean, do you think you could throw all the way over that highway? I think we pretty well decided that you might.
Well, I know you can from 9's tee box.
Yeah.
It's only about 200 feet to the road from there.
Yeah. So here we see where they ended up here. A little long for their comebacks.
This one's an easy one to go long on because you're really trying to push this one because it's one of the flattest holes coming through here.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's right there in front of you. Just, about 250. It's attainable. It's gettable. You feel like you shouldn't be missing this. And great tree. That was going to keep floating on. That tree
that
settled him up
headwind,
like
you
5 foot.
saw it just lift him up about 6 inches and just right over top of the band.
Yeah, you can start seeing Ian's shirt whipping around now. The towel hanging off Thaddeus' bag is waving in the wind. It's starting to get a little breezy. And especially as we round up, we are almost at the top of the hill. We're at the funnel point. It is going to get a little whippy. So I did end up missing Johnny and Ryan's tap-ins there, but nothing really to note. They were right beside the basket.
This hole is very, very deceiving. You'll have a lot of people throw a slower mid-range or something up on this hill and hope it kind of filters down right past this tree and gives you a putt up at the basket, probably 30, 40 feet.
Anything with speed, though, or with any amount of skip,
it is gone.
Yeah, this is an extremely difficult hole. If you can release it right, a flex forehand, kind of where Ryan is looking at his flex backhand, in which just body mechanics wise, I think the lefty backhand fares better than the righty forehand turnover, just because you're throwing from the opposite side of your body. That righty forehand, you're going to want to push it right into that tree.
And I believe this tee box is just a little bit skinnier than the rest of them as well for some reason. Maybe just the location made it harder.
Some erosion has kind of moved over onto encroaching on that tee pad.
And that's the mistake a lot of people make on this hole.
Leaving it 2 nose up, letting it glide, it's
that
gonna
hill
sail.
just pulls it down. I believe I threw actually a high-speed driver here, but it was a super overstable flex shot.
Now, there is also a super skinny gap directly off the tee pad straight for like a forehand. If you can hit it, it actually moves back into the hillside. It finishes a lot safer than the backhand up to the right will.
But like you said,
it's a 3 foot gap.
Super skinny gap.
It's a 3 foot gap, 30 plus feet in front of you. It's not the easiest to hit. It really isn't.
I think the forehand flex line is probably one of the most forgiving lines on this hole.
Yeah, as long as you can get the release right and the angle, you're golden. Backhand mid-range, backhand fairway. Whatever you do, just try to stay up and right. Don't leave it too high.
This kind of reminds me of hole 2 at Shawnee State Forest Black Bear a little bit.
Kind of. Very similar vibes there.
There's just a way longer way to go down the hill if you miss. With
Oh,
your backhand.
yeah. Johnny with his approach shot, leaving it just short of the basket. He's going to have 20-ish feet staring straight up.
And this is another one of those baskets that if you miss it, you could have a dastardly roll down the hill.
Yeah. You can see some big numbers happen on this hole. Unfortunately, it's this one right here can get you. Things like that. Thaddeus staring right back up at the basket. Just chains out. You got Ian here, and now you can hear the wind. So not only you have a nervy putt, this is to try to save a par, you're also contending with that wind, which is rough. And the sound level on this is knocked way down. So just imagine what it's actually trying to putt through this.
Yeah, that's whipping pretty good. The next hole actually gives you a little bit of... oh, no. That nasty roll away down the hill we were discussing just happened.
It's still going. It just stopped. You can barely see the top of Johnny's head. That's actually hole 5. He almost got all the way down the 5's green.
And parks
perfect gets it up there. That was his par putt initially. An unfortunate band hit. This is one of those, if you're not in the chains, you're likely going to roll. And I would say uncharacteristic, just random air ball there from Ryan. But if you actually look at it again, the wind lifted that straight out of his hand and just pulled it up. Very lucky to chill up over top of the basket.
And that might actually be the most difficult hole of the round.
I think it was, just because of the double bogey.
Yeah, that played almost bogey average.
Yeah. But we'll go into one of the most dead straight in front of you holes on the course. Just under 200 feet, hole 14 is the ace run here. Yeah, it's right in front of you. Little
slight
forehand,
downhill,
little backhand, little downhill. You've got a beautiful backstop. This is the one I was referencing back when we were still on hole 4. So, it's all in all one of the better. You can just see the disc flying straight down this little hallway. You can almost envision it just dropping right into the basket. Only danger is a little bit of a pull or something. And
there's the backstop.
Yep. It looks like the disc levitating right at chain height.
He should be about 10 feet behind, 10, 15 feet behind the basket.
Right about there, kind of nestled up in those maple roots. So, Thaddeus going with that Luna again. Leaves it a little low, but here's the thing. You can leave it low. It's going to catch, unless you catch a root, it's going to scoot right up to it. This is one of the absolute must-get birdies on the course. Johnny looking like he's taking his rock at it. Unfortunately catches that leaning tree. Knocks him down a little ways over the bank on the left. But even this, he still has a look at it. It's more of a throw than an actual putt. But he's trying to make that.
Absolutely.
Hits the basket. He's really trying to make it. Ian with his putt. Right off the band. He gave it an honest bit.
And the position he's in right here, that's going to be, if you throw it straight and hard at the basket and just miss, this is where you're going to end up every time.
Still a nice, easy putt. Gonna drop that one in there. Thaddeus gonna come behind, try to do the same.
Actually, 2 years ago, I missed this exact putt that he's throwing.
We've all been there.
I had a tailwind, and I just basketed it right in front of me.
Johnny and Ian picking up the pars, as did the rest of the field. So Thaddeus and Ryan picking up the only birdies on the day here. It's going to segue us right over in the 15, and I think this distance is a little off. It's, again, closer to about 200 feet. But this is just a dead straight stalling hyzer shot. Get something, a slow approach disc, putter, to right here, flat, straight, let it stall, drop onto the basket.
There is a high right hyzer route. You can see that dead stop right above his head there. There is a big hyzer route to get to this hole, but it is super narrow, and only those that accidentally grip lock their discs will find it.
Are you speaking from experience?
That is definitely experience talking there.
I think that was a zone from Ryan there. We've moved now in, starting with 14, we've moved into a stretch of holes that you absolutely need to birdie. You need to finish this round out strong. You know, this course will beat you up the whole way, but you need to finish off strong through here.
And these are just strong fundamental holes. Just a smooth hyzer shot to this hole. Trust your disc to do what it's supposed to. Just like that.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a Sky God from Ian. This is super easy to go long on. So it's basically you almost want to just saw it off. Leave something nose up, cruising down there, and then just let it stall and just drop. I think Rock from Johnny. Little too straight. It's going to go long. But yeah, we're moving into a stretch of the course these last 5 holes. You need to birdie at least 3 of them, if not 4. The only one that I could honestly say par is acceptable is 16. But 14, 15, 17, 18, you need to get all 4 of those to wrap this round up strong, because your leaders, that's what they're going to be doing. Just Thaddeus does there, knocks that one in, and that actually takes him into the lead. Tied with Shumate. They're both at -2 right now, pending this putt result, and you see him there. He's really trying to judge this wind, and he just can't. It's swirling, it's picking up, and the moment he's ready for it, it all dies.
And again, the baskets on this side of the course have been very, very unfriendly to our card today.
Yeah. But, you know, it's Ian picking up the nice short birdie, and that's going to move him to 2 under par. And now it looks like our entire card has moved ahead of Johnny.
The wind even tried to lift that one up, but he caught the top of the chains and was able to get out. So hole 16, again, we were talking about this ridgeline being very, very dangerous. You can see how far that drops off to the right and how close that ridgeline is. This shot is just a dead straight mid or putter, land right here in front of the basket, and hope you don't hit one of those roots and bounce right or left.
Land about 15 short, scoot your way up to it. It's coming in right at like 250.
You definitely don't want to be throwing a backhand understable disc here.
Miss that tree. That is the one tree in the perfect line that you need to miss. If you come in on that exact line with the exact hyzer that Thaddeus was coming in on, you can see it on
his face that he knew that was the line.
And because he knew it was perfect, it was going to hit the tree.
Yeah. And if you are going to fail this hole, you would much rather fail overstable and then fade to the left, because you at least have an uphill approach instead of going over the hill towards the
2 for 2. That was Ian and his buzz, and he looked right back at the camera. He knew it. All right, there's 2 of them hit it.
I was on the right line.
He also was on the perfect line. That's crazy. It's just that one little sapling tree, but I think it's in the perfect spot, because if you have the perfect line at the basket, you're gonna hit it.
I feel like Johnny intentionally planted that tree.
He probably
when he designed this course.
He probably did.
I do not envy a left-handed player throwing this hole.
I do not, and that was the luckiest kick you'll ever see. If you've ever played here, you know If you go to the right of this ridge, it is about 150 foot straight down. When I first got started, Andy, the guy running this tournament, looked at me and he said, if you go down that hill, I don't care what you threw, I will buy another one. You're not going down there.
Yes, sir, Mr. Sias.
And
Perfectly executed shot.
he shows just how to miss that tree.
Yeah, the line has actually missed the tree about a disc width to the right.
Thaddeus giving it a good, honest bid up there. Just that's a long way uphill.
And again, you can hear that wind just ripping over top of this ridge line.
Yeah. And just knocks that disc directly back down. Didn't let it hyzer back toward the basket, nothing.
I feel like he may have caught a tree a little bit as soon as he released that. It looked like his kind of bounced right.
I think I missed it, which entirely possible. He was kind of pinched there. Ryan, no real approach to the basket.
So you see Johnny's disc just nestled up right there.
Yeah. Gonna have par cleanups from the group and a drop in from Mr. Sias. And like I said, this is one of the ones that, if you're going to par it, this would be the one. However, this did come in with 3 birdies on the day.
Again, Sam Cruz.
And Evan Jarvis. And Sam's picking up a lot of birdies, and he's really making a push right now. Hole 17, this is another little chip shot, a couple hundred feet right in front of you. This is a little different than in years past, just due to the power line installation. They had to actually change this hole, but I think it's a good change. Obviously, I'm really indecisive on what gap I want to fly with the drone. You need to be a lot more decisive than that with a disc. Johnny opting for the backhand up the ridge to try to filter into it, but you're going to see the biggest majority of players are going to be taking the forehand.
The forehand is definitely the ace run route. That's how you drop it right on the basket.
Either that or the backhand turnover over the same line, but it's that left gap is the widest.
But you can certainly see that one big dark tree down there to the left.
Yep.
That's the danger of putting it on that hyzer line.
Yeah.
On the forehand. I actually had one about 30 feet up into that tree when I played this one.
You can see Thaddeus there. He took a lot of time trying to make sure his footing was good. This tee pad was extremely slick today. After the rain we got this morning, there was a little bit of mud, a little bit of moss, a little gunk on it, and it was about as close to ice as we were going to get today. Ian, knowing that, opting for the standstill. Gets that little anti-skip and roll, going to put himself a little long. And then Ryan with, absolutely getting, a cupcake hole being a lefty here. Stock, approach, hyzer, puts it right over the basket. It's going to nestle up 8 foot.
Yeah, this hole was built for lefties, for sure.
Mr. Sias just leaves it a little short. You almost don't want to commit fully to this putt. You see that slope. That is not something you want to mess with.
All your disc has to do is catch edge, and you're in trouble.
You just got to stay in the air. It's almost a 45-degree angle hillside. That is
one of those little bitty branches.
Yep, one of the little ones just caught it, took just enough off of it to drop it.
Again, that wind just raising the front edge of that disc.
Right into the band. We've been seeing it. So, I said that 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. You need to birdie 14, 15, 17, 18. 16's okay to par. Well, I say that as Ryan just picked up the only birdie in the field. Turns out it's okay to par 17. Unless you're a lefty, then it's you need to get that. No, I'm actually really surprised with the results there. You really need to be picking up that birdie. It's right in front of you, 200 feet. Let's move into the final hole. And there's a lot of danger here. This is an island green shooting from, about 40 feet up?
At
40,
minimum,
50?
probably 40 foot to 50 foot of elevation change over. It says 272 feet. I would put this hole around.
This is going to play
225.
like, it's playing like 225, 230 maybe. Just get something that's going to drop onto the basket. Forehand or backhand works. Straight at it works. Swooping hyzers work. Overhands
Whatever
might
you do,
work. Grenades.
throw something that's going to stop when it
As
hits
soon
the
as it
ground.
hits, just don't move.
Everything is OB on this hole. Like we said, it is a true island. As you see from this one, it just skips right on that OB line to the right.
Yeah, just never quite made it to the island. Now, I say forehand and like left side, right side, they both work. But the right-hand side is definitely. So lefty forehand, righty backhand, you're going to have the most room to swing something out, let it spike on, and stick close. Johnny looking like he's throwing his rock there. Hits right by the pin, scoots to about 11 foot. Parked.
And I feel like that right hand, like hyzer line, you want it to just barely skate over top of that little service road and drop right into the basket.
Oh, yeah.
Anything higher and you're risking skipping on that road.
I was going to say either that or something high that's coming in on a lot of angle. That's
yeah,
gonna,
if you
like,
can tombstone at the basket, you're good
fine.
here.
This is a different play. Looking like we are going thumber here.
I don't know. Was he looking to do maybe a forehand flex and it just didn't come out?
No, that was
for
a
him?
thumber. That was a thumber, and it just panned instead of flipping all the way over really quick.
Wow.
Right OB. So he's going to be going to the drop zone with Mr. Ryan. Now, as we look at our scores here, we're coming into the final hole with Ryan with a one-stroke lead over both Thaddeus and Johnny.
And that was a perfect park job as well.
At this point, Sam is one over par, but making it clean onto the island. So it's putting a lot of pressure here on players like Ian, who are like right there, with Sam being on the island clean when he played through. You know, he's looking at birdie to go into 2. So now you're looking at ties. Who's going to be making lead card for round 2?
Remember we were talking about your disc catching edge. Everything is on a little slight hill here. That actually rolled OB left.
Yep.
And there was a question on the card here as to whether you had to throw again.
So the card right now is discussing on if you go OB from the drop zone, if you have to rethrow from the drop zone again, or if you take it from where it goes out. So and this is a lesson for anyone watching, no matter your skill level, doesn't matter, this is good advice. They're trying to get a hold of the tournament director right now to get a ruling on what he's supposed to do. In order to not hold up pace of play, in order to maintain that, he's called it, he's throwing a provisional.
So what this means is he's going to go ahead and throw as if he was supposed to throw from that point again.
And he'll play both lies. Now we're in a really weird situation that he goes OB again. So now the question is, does he throw again from the drop zone, throwing 5 at that point?
And then he would have to finish out all 3 of those plays.
Realistically, just the first and the third. But still, regardless. However, at this point, we did get a hold of Andy, the TD, and clarified that once you go to the drop zone, anything after that goes where it crossed. So, now, Thaddeus is putting for 5 from where he went OB from his first drop zone shot.
And this is the general rule
for a second,
islands.
we were scared.
Yeah, we were scared.
We were scared right there. I thought he was going to roll again. I was... Oof. Ryan cleaning up the single bogey there. He's going to drop back down to 2 in a tie with Johnny before Johnny putts this. It's like Thaddeus going to clean up his triple. And that's a color I don't like seeing pop up on scorecards. Unfortunately for Thaddeus, Sam Cruz did land safely on the island. Did pick up the birdie. So that actually moved him to even par and in the 4th place position. All Ian has to do here is just at least maintain par. He picks up birdie to move into a tie for 2nd with Ryan, and actually technically a tie for 1st.
And Johnny sinking that birdie
moves him to solo 1st on for the round and gives him the pole position moving into round 2. So yeah, that little bit, and kind of disappointing for Thaddeus missing out on lead card for round 2, just with a couple mistakes there. Honestly, I don't even say mistakes. Maybe the tee shot,
some
kind of
unfortunate
misjudging the wind.
maybe.
But it was the misfortune of the rollaways. That's what really kind of got him. Was that I hated seeing it. There's not a lot you can do about that. But as we look there, the unfortunate double bogey for Johnny back on this back 9 was really what kind of took him out from shooting a really hot round. However, did finish out at 3 under par still, shooting even for the back 9 in the hot round. Got our little fire emoji there. Ryan and Ian maintaining a stroke right behind him, and Sam coming up to snag away that lead card spot for round 2 away from Thaddeus. So this has been a great round 1. I can't wait to get back for round 2 as we get over into the Open and a more park style course over at Rotary.
There's a lot more grass at Rotary, a lot less trees,
yeah.
and a lot more opportunity to let the disc fly.
Yeah, I can't wait for it and hope to see you guys over there.